Welcome to another episode of Addiction Uncovered. I'm Jill, your host, and today I'm joined by Heather. Heather is a social worker, a licensed mental health therapist, and a substance use therapist. She's worked in the human service field for over 30 years, and she is passionate about this area because she's had personal experience with addiction as she lost a parent to alcoholism. And she's hoping by sharing her experience that this will help to inspire others who may have family members or loved ones who are struggling with addiction as well. So welcome to the show, Heather. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about what it was like for you to grow up with someone who struggled with addiction, and what that experience was like.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. And
of course.
I'm very excited just to really help educate. I'm really passionate about helping people. And I think the more that anyone can share experiences about addiction just really helps in any type or shape or form. It just really helps the community and people kind of normalize it a little bit and understand it. So I really didn't grow up with addiction. What happened was really I'm the oldest of 3 siblings. I have 2 younger brothers. And really as we all started to graduate high school, that is kind of when my father started to have problems. As we were leaving. And so it really, growing up, he would just have like one drink or a couple drinks every night. You know, you would eat dinner and then watch TV with your family in the living room, and he would just sit and have a couple beers just every single night. And he was always fine and everything. But it was, like I said, it was once we started graduating from high school, kind of that empty nest syndrome, I think is when it started to be more hard for him. And so like when my youngest brother was in high school is kind of when it started to get more problematic, where he would get DUIs, getting arrested. And then we would also have like family events. Like we just always celebrated holidays, and we celebrated birthday parties and, you know, our extended family. So we would go to things, and he slowly would not come to things because of just being either intoxicated or going through the withdrawal. So that was a piece of it. After so long, you know, so often he would stay in bed for like 3 days and go through the withdrawal process where he was pretty nauseous and sick. And So it was really, for me, navigating my family and helping for that.
Right. And so a little bit of a different perspective, because you are seeing this from the outside, because you're not in the home seeing this happen. You have your own family, you're building your own life, and just seeing that within your family home, your childhood home, and seeing your mom struggle with that too. I'm sure that was hard for her, of course.
Yeah. That's exactly right. So I lived here in Omaha, and I grew up in a smaller town in Iowa about an hour and a half away. And so that's kind of where it was at. So I was here in Omaha, and my other brother was here in Omaha, and we have young children. So my mom would be coming here all the time and helping and just getting, you know, and staying with us and doing different things and having fun with your family and going back and forth, you know, between her home and, you know, and navigating that. And so for me, it was, how do I help her? I mean, obviously in helping my dad too, but I wasn't there. So
was he pretty open with you guys about what was going on? Did the family have open conversations about it?
That's a good question. And no, not at all. And what's different is that with my job, so I'm in the human service field. So you mentioned I was a therapist, but kind of around the same time this was growing and getting rough for him was the same time I was helping to grow a residential treatment program, specifically for women. And so it's like navigating that, you know, the job along with this. And so it really, though, gave me a good perspective, I think, on it all. And in talking to him, he just really switched topics. I tried to talk to him when he was calm, obviously, about it, and just really highlight that, you are fine, that you deserve to live and you deserve so many things. And
you have this family that love you, and
you have grandkids, and we're here to help if you need help. And which we did. I mean, that was kind of what Mom and I did quite a bit of help with him. But yeah, the other piece was just kind of trying to help connect and see who else could be around. But nope, he really wasn't very open about it.
And from a small town, you mentioned too. So
he was from a small rural Nebraska town. We grew up in Iowa, but we were Husker fans, so it's fun. But
hence the shirt I wore it just for you. Then.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So yeah, but we've talked before too about having that small town mentality, and then you also are a father in a small town, and so you have that kind of, I'm a man and I don't want to show my feelings or show any kind of weakness. I bet that played into it too for him.
Yeah,
I can imagine, right?
Yep, that's what we think for sure. I mean, he didn't want to tell his daughter that he had a problem,
right?
And then he needed any help,
right? It's so vulnerable,
yeah,
right. And even working in the field, people have this idea that like we know where all the resources are and we know how to navigate it all, and all we have to do is make a phone call and we can help get people into wherever they need to. Like, sure, sometimes that happens, but a lot of times we struggle just as much to navigate it because we might know where those resources are, maybe more so than others, but we're dealing with our own family members. Yeah. There's this added layer of emotional connection, whereas when we're helping people in the community, obviously we care about them. We want to make sure they get the right service for them, but we're not emotionally tied to that in the same way that we are with a family member.
Right.
So what was that like, trying to navigate and maintain like good boundaries and kind of manage those emotions and all of that alongside of it?
Right. So for me, it was, how do I help myself? How do I help my dad? How do I help my mom? How do I help my brothers? They just were very new to the whole, for me, I think I was in the field, so I understood it quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a big support for me too, is because of working with other people that were in recovery or working on it. I knew that, it's possible. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would share, all my general stories and things with Dad. But, Mom and I would try to get him into treatment. We got him to try in with the beginning with outpatient. And then we got him to go to a local residential treatment program, like a 30-day program in Nebraska. And Mom and I even went there for like a week and stayed there for their family program. And so we went through that, which was fine. Now for my work, I was going out in California to look at types of, treatment and interventions. And so I kind of had that perspective as well, along with, because there's all these different types of treatments, and that's important to have different types of treatments, I feel, because everyone will stick to certain things, and there's not ever one thing for everybody, so it's important to have different types. So but I learned a lot, and Dad would go home and be supportive and would not drink for a while, and then would go back to drinking. And it is about finding. Mom would talk to me too about everything. Like for my mom, I would encourage her to do different things, and to have support for herself as well. But basically, I just listened to her a lot.
Was there a lot of other family members that just kind of struggle with this idea of accepting this as possible within the family system? There's a lot of shame and guilt and all kinds of things that go into addiction, obviously, and it's hard to see somebody struggle.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. I think that's the hard thing, is I think like with alcohol, it's hard to understand for some people that it can be problematic. And so, coming where my dad grew up in a town, small rural town, and a family, and, a heavy drinker, that doesn't necessarily mean there's problems. And so we did not have any close family members really close. And, so we would go and visit and drive and visit them throughout our lives, but, they had their own understanding of addiction too. And so I think, at this point, where this was 25 years ago, I don't know that we had a super amount of support. or understanding. We have support,
Yeah.
but it's just more, I think, around the understanding that family members and friends all really have around drinking. Now, the idea of drugs, that's different, right? And that's more clear, I think, sometimes. But so, yeah. The other thing Mom and I did was court order treatment for him.
Oh, tell us about that. What's that about?
Well, it's kind of where we probably plug it in too much. Who knows? But we just continue to see him struggle. And so we decided we would court order him to some longer term treatment because he wasn't going to go. And I don't think I had a ton of those conversations because as a child, that really wasn't. I mean, my mom did a lot more of that and we did it together, but he just really wasn't open to anything. So, for court ordered, then you had to have like 2 family members kind of show documentation of the issue to court. And the court in Iowa, this is the Iowa's process, I'm not Nebraska's, approved it. And so he was legally told he needed to go to treatment. So he went to a longer term treatment in Minnesota.
Oh, so did that help, do you think, to at least keep him safer and maybe sober for a period of time? Do you think that helped to kind of push him into the right direction? Was he willing and open to that, or was there a lot of resistance still?
He was open.
Oh,
I mean,
good.
I knew that this was a struggle for him. Mm-hmm. I don't know much else about where he was at though, but I know that he knew it. I knew that. Mm-hmm. So I think it was good. I mean, it's 2 different perspectives, right? Like, do you really do this when, is someone really ready to go? Mm-hmm. But having been in the field too with the work, I know that sometimes people don't understand if they're ready until they have some space and they have that time where they're not drinking or using substances. Mm-hmm. So sometimes if, they have a couple months, maybe some things connect and they might. So for me, it's just anything could help. Mm-hmm. But I also know that it's not on me or my mom. Mm-hmm.
And the things that I've learned recently is there's not a huge difference in success rate when it comes to someone who's externally motivated, like through the court or something else, versus internally motivated. You would think there would be a very clear-cut difference, but studies are starting to show that there's not that much of a difference. Regardless of what the numbers tell us, though, what you just said is important. Sometimes getting people into the recovery space, whether they like it or not, at least will start the conversation. And maybe they have even 24 hours of clarity where they hear something that sticks with them, whether they stay sober now or they come back to it 10 years from now and say, I remember this experience I had. I remember those words that were said. And that always stuck with me. Like, you just never know.
Right. I know.
So we don't want to run the risk of just not doing anything and waiting for this rock bottom to happen where everything is lost and everything's terrible. And then we have so much more to pick up from. Yeah. It's better just to intervene however we
Sometimes, I mean, it just has to be the right feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel like just making sure, it's like we're here for when you're ready.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I'm assuming that during this time of his heavy alcohol use, I'm assuming there was probably some health things that were going on that were related to alcohol, or is that something you weren't really sure about either?
I'm not sure. I don't know that I know all of those details. I mean, I know that it just got to a point where he was drinking or withdrawing more than not. Mm. And so I know that did cause a lot of medical because he passed away. I don't know if I said that earlier, but he did pass away about 12 years ago. And it was some issues, heart issues, liver issues.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it could have been related to that, or maybe not, so it's hard to tell. I just know with that long-term heavy use, especially if you're experiencing withdrawal symptoms, that those can cause a lot of medical things too. Yeah. And
we gave him information on how to get medicine, to help him too. And he tried that for a while, but yeah.
So now looking back on all of that, what is your relationship with your dad like now? So as you think about him now and the experiences that you've been through, I'm sure there were some hard conversations when he was with us. Where are you at with that?
Of course, I'm just sad for that. But,
it's hard.
Sorry.
Don't be. Yeah, it's hard. And it's hard because you think if you lose someone to addiction, you would think, oh my gosh, what is it that we missed? What could we have done? Why didn't he put this as a priority? Like, there's probably a lot of feelings around that. So it's not only the grief, which is hard of losing somebody, but it's like an added layer of that complexity, I'm sure. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just missing him, but he's a wonderful person, and our relationship now is great. And, there was never any struggles that he did to me that I had to work through. Like I know people that grow up in alcohol homes, that's a whole different experience too. And things that people, have to, work through. But it's just so hard, and it's just a hard thing.
Yeah.
But he's wonderful, and I really feel things happen for a reason. So I will go to certain things, and I will see little things that remind me of him, and
and you're like, I see you.
Yeah.
I see what you're trying to do here.
Yep.
Well, and I think too, of all the things that you've experienced and going through, I know you've been working in this field for a long time, but having that experience too, how powerful that is. Not that you necessarily share that story with everyone that you work with, but from personal experience how hard that is and what that's like and how important recovery is for family. And so I'm sure that just motivates you and gives you energy and drive to do the work that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, I think two things come in my head. One is for anyone that is in addiction, it is just giving them the hope that they can get through. People get through this daily, right? I mean, it is very possible. And in my work, I just see, people that you might be like, they are not going to get through this. And then the ones that you think will, do not, and the ones that you think will not do,
you just never know.
And so that's what I'm really passionate about is, highlighting the areas of why people want to live and be loved and heard and helping with that. Versus trying to tell them what to do and how to do it.
Right.
That's just highlight the other piece so then that they know that they're a person and that they can do these things. So there's that. And then also the family piece. Just supporting people.
What's an important thing that you think families really need to know when they're in the situation where they have somebody that's struggling? Yeah. Like you said, what not to do is tell them what to do, tell them where to go, how to do this and that, right? Because that never is helpful. And plus it puts a lot of strain on their relationships. But what would be your best advice for a family?
Yeah. Well, probably a few things is knowing that it's okay to have all the emotions.
Right.
And so part of it is, what's hard, like for my mom. She's great. But so for family is, just helping them understand that it's constant emotions and that's fine. And helping them talk through is how to set boundaries if you need to. And how do you set boundaries, but letting them know that you're here and you love them,
and there's not, I wish there was just a one statement that you could make that would give them all that information to show that I am still here. I care about you. I love you. I want to help you. Like these behaviors aren't okay. I just wish it was very clear, but it is so complex because it depends on what are the behaviors? What's the relationship between you and this person? And it's very difficult, but you've mentioned before how it was important for you to take care of yourself and for you to take care of your mom and everybody else involved, not just the person that's struggling.
Yeah.
Right? Because then we lose our ability to be able to show up in the right ways, because then all of our emotions, we're mad, we're anxious, we're scared because we don't know what's going to happen with this person. All of that comes into play. So how do we stay really grounded? It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I encourage Mom to do therapy myself. There's always that option. Alacon, right, for a support group for family members. Al-Anon, yeah.
Yep, Al-Anon.
I did not say that right.
Gotcha.
Yes, Al-Anon. But it is hard. And just, for thinking that you're powerless, but, it's just really knowing how to support each other and be there and how to say things. I encouraged Mom to continue to come and visit. You don't have to stay there and take care of him. That's not your thing, and that's his consequence of his actions. So you don't have to feel bad, because I think she probably felt a lot of shame and guilt of trying to live her life versus taking care of him, because, eventually my youngest brother left. So then she's there by himself. So, it was like, what do I do? If I leave him and he's there in this house by himself, he'll die. But how do I come and see? And that was what's hard. I mean, and looking back, she was in our house spending the night. We were celebrating one of my kids' birthdays, and he was in the house by himself. And I remember taking a shower and had this feeling, and I'm like, Mom, and being in a small town, the chief of police lived up the street. I'm like, why don't you call him and have him go check in our house? And she did, and that's when we learned that. But, I mean, she still didn't need to give up any of those things to do that.
And you think, too, I wonder if it's a blessing that she was with you in that moment, right? As opposed to being in that space, just because it could have been terrible. Regardless, it's a horrible thing to have to see or to cope with, but she was probably where she needed to be in that moment. Right?
Yeah.
And so
it's a good perspective, and I don't think I've ever really thought about that.
Yeah. Just to be able to be surrounded by you and your support. So
yeah.
Good. And I think that's a good point of our lives don't have to stop because we love someone who's struggling.
Yeah.
We can set boundaries and we can still be there for them. We can still support them, but we don't have to stop having our own relationships and doing our own things, right? For some people, I think it gets to a point where it's too consuming or it's too dangerous or whatever the case is, and it makes sense for them to stop that relationship.
Right.
But for others, you can still have a relationship with that person and respect them and love them without completely amputating the relationship.
Yeah, it just really depends on the situation, case by case, and what's happening at the home. Are you in the home? Are you not in the home?
Yeah. So fast forward to the work that you're doing now. 30 years is a long time to be working in the field and doing all the things that you've been doing as a therapist and as building programs and all the things. And so when you look at addiction now and the people that you are working with and creating recovery spaces for, like, what is something that you want people to know about addiction or about recovery?
I think as I've continued to be in this field, you just get to know more and more people that have gone through the experience one way or the other, whether it's themselves or a family members. And even my family, extended family, I hear more and more of these things too. And so I really just like talking more about it and being, and educating and doing what we can to really help promote how to be okay with it and how to help people. And for people that are in recovery, like I said earlier, I think there's always a time when you can pull out of this. And there's always people around that can help, whether it's a family member. Sometimes there's not a family member based on, certain things and reasons doesn't mean that they don't love you or love people. But there's always people that care. So I think of myself, like I love helping, my background's in social work. And so it's kind of just how things have played out. Like, here I am in this field with this, and then here's what happened. It's just like, whoa, okay. But
yeah, I think it's definitely led you to do the work that you're doing now, because you have a unique perspective. It's not just about a training background and that you can really speak to it without sharing your full story. You can really speak to it from a place that's relatable.
Yeah.
Where people are like, this person isn't just like coming in for, I remember when I first started as a therapist, I was working with teens, and one of the kids said to me like, oh, you just do this for the money. I was like, sir, I don't think you know how much therapists make, right? Like, that's not why we do the things.
Yeah.
We do this work because it means a lot to us, whether we are bringing some of our own personal experiences or whatever. But it's because we honestly do care. And I think people see that in the work that we do. Like, I didn't just create this podcast because I'm like, this sounds like fun.
I know.
This is important to me because it's important for, like you said, for us to talk about this. So people don't feel alone. So people don't feel like they can't come forward and talk about the real nitty gritty of it.
Right.
Or to recover out loud and say,
yep,
I've done this and I'm proud of myself and I deserve at this point to say this is what I've done.
Yeah, that is great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And also to support family members too. So it's part of it is there's people around that can help the people that are struggling, but then the family members too that are going through this is that there is things to help them too, and people that are there for them as well and support that. And so,
because we can only do so much. So when they come into the recovery spaces or into treatment centers, and specifically the one that you've created, that's wonderful. We bring them into those spaces and we can shut out all the other noise and focus on them and really build them up and strengthen them. And sometimes get them sober long enough to be able to see things differently, right? But then we send them back out to the families, and the families are like, okay, I guess this is on me now. Like, how do I manage this?
Right.
What happens if this goes back down the road? Or how do I heal from the hurt that these family members have caused me? Yep. When people are in their active addiction, and this is part of the stories that we've heard too, is there has to be some level of accountability. And even though it is a disease, there still is that accountability that's important, and you have to mend those relationships, which is really hard. Right. So the person who's struggling has to come to the family member and say, this is what I did. I'm sorry. This is what, and talk through it. But then how does a family member respond? Right. Like, how do we make sure that we're still like protecting ourselves too? That's a whole other separate thing, right? Right. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much. We could talk about that piece of it all day, and that would be wonderful. But I think it's really important for families to know that there are resources out there. And so I know we're gonna link some resources to this episode, so that way people can reach out and see what kind of support there is. But I really appreciate you sharing the story, your personal experience, but also all the work that you're doing in the community to make more recovery spaces and to really help support people who are struggling. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for all you're doing too.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.